There is a mason jar sitting on the corner shelf of my granary, right next to the door where the grain bags stack up. It has been sitting there since late April. It is nothing but warm water, a cup of sugar, and a half tablespoon of borax. That jar has killed more ants in the last 3 months than every can of spray I ever bought in 40 years of farming combined. Every ant that drinks from it goes back into the ground and feeds the colony. Then the colony feeds the queen, and within 2 to 4 weeks, the whole nest collapses from the inside out. Not a single honeybee has touched it. Not a single chicken. Not my dog. My name is Elmer. I am Amish. I farm 16 acres in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I keep 11 colonies of bees, which means I cannot afford to use chemicals that drift or linger or leave a residue on anything that blooms. I have been dealing with ants in buildings, in raised beds, along fence lines, and across stone pathways for my entire life. By the end of this, you will know how to eliminate the ant colony under your foundation or in your yard this weekend for less than $12. That is not a typo. One exterminator visit in this country right now costs between $150 and $500 depending on where you live and what species you are dealing with. What I am going to show you today costs less than $12 total for the first year, and after that, almost nothing. Let me start with what most folks get wrong. Most people look at the ants walking across their kitchen counter or along the edge of their patio and think those are the problem. They spray them. They stomp them. They buy the little plastic bait stations at the hardware store, wait a week, and when more ants show up, they call the pest company. The ants keep coming. The service company keeps coming. And the problem never actually ends. I have talked to people on my own road who have been paying a quarterly pest control contract for 6 years straight. The company comes every few months, sprays around the foundation, hands them an invoice for $100 or more, and leaves. The ants are back within a month, every time. Here is why. The ants you see are never the problem. They are the messengers. They are foragers. They make up roughly 10% of the colony, maybe less. The other 90% are underground, in tunnels that can extend 3 feet deep and 6 feet wide in every direction from the entrance. The queen is down there, protected in a chamber near the bottom of the nest. She can live for 15 years. She can lay thousands of eggs every single day of her life. You can kill every ant you see on the surface, and she will simply produce more. A new wave will appear within a matter of days. This is the cycle that pest control companies rely on, not because they are dishonest, necessarily. Because the treatment they are selling addresses symptoms, not the source. The spray that goes on the outside of your foundation kills the ants that walk through it for the next few weeks. But the colony underground does not know anything happened up there. It just sends more, and it has plenty to send. An average ant colony under a suburban yard contains between 20,000 and 100,000 individual insects. The spray killed 200 of them. The math is not in your favor. Symptoms are renewable. They come back every single season. Every spring, there is your phone call. My grandfather Jakob understood this. He was not a man who wasted time or money on things that did not work. He used to say that if a problem comes back every year without fail, you are solving the wrong problem. He kept a small notebook in the breast pocket of his work coat where he recorded what worked and what did not. He did this for decades. I still have that notebook. On the page marked ants, in his careful handwriting, there is one word written and underlined: source. Below it, he wrote 2 more words: reach it. Every summer morning in June, he would walk the stone foundation of the barn before the workday started, just looking, not treating, looking. He knew where every trail went. He knew which trails were new. He said the first week of June told you everything you needed to know about the whole ant season ahead. Everything else about how to handle ants flows from that single idea. You have to reach the source. You have to reach the queen. And the only way to reach something that deep underground is to use the ants themselves to carry something down to her. That is the entire logic of what I am about to show you. The ants are the delivery system. So here's the system. It has 3 parts. The first part is the bait. The second part is the barrier. The third part is the perimeter reset that keeps them from coming back the following spring. These 3 things together, done correctly, will collapse the existing colony and hold the line afterward. Let me take you through each one. The first thing you need is borax. Not boric acid, not some fancy pest control powder. Plain borax. You can find it at Walmart, at Target, at any grocery store in the laundry aisle. It comes in a green and white cardboard box, 20 Mule Team brand. A 76-ounce box costs about $5.50. That one box will last you 3 full summers. Borax is a mineral salt that occurs naturally in the earth. It has been mined and used in American homes since the 1880s. Farmers in my grandfather's generation knew it for cleaning, for preserving, and for pest control. You also need plain white granulated sugar, table sugar, a standard 5-pound bag from any store, about $3, and water from your tap. That is your entire shopping list for step 1. Here is how you make the bait. Take 1 cup of warm water, not boiling, just warm from the tap. Add 1 cup of white sugar. Stir until the sugar dissolves completely. Then add 1 level tablespoon of borax and stir again until the borax is fully dissolved into the liquid. The solution must be clear when you are done. If you see any cloudiness or any graininess at the bottom of the container, keep stirring. The ants' mouths are small. They cannot ingest undissolved particles. The liquid must be perfectly clear before you use it. This is the most important thing most people get wrong. They use too much borax, or they do not dissolve it, and they kill the forager ants within minutes of contact. A dead forager cannot carry anything back to the nest. You need the borax to act slowly. The concentration I just gave you is the sweet spot. University of California researchers found that a borax concentration of around 1 to 1.5% is optimal for colony elimination. What I described is right in that range. It is strong enough to be lethal to the colony over 2 to 3 weeks, but slow enough that the foragers live for 12 to 48 hours after drinking it, which is exactly the window they need to return to the nest and share the bait with the colony. Ants feed each other mouth to mouth. It is called trophallaxis. A forager returns to the nest, and every ant it encounters gets a portion of what it is carrying. Then those ants distribute it further and further. Within 24 to 48 hours, a single bait station can send a lethal dose through hundreds of individual ants deep inside a nest you cannot see or reach from the surface. The larvae get a dose. The nurses feeding the queen get a dose. The food reaches the queen. When the queen dies, the colony dies. There is no rebuilding from that. A colony without a queen does not recover. The remaining workers simply die out over the following days without anyone producing new eggs. Take 4 or 5 old plastic bottle caps, the kind from water bottles or soda bottles, or use the plastic lids from small jars. Soak a piece of cotton ball in the bait solution and set it in each cap, or simply pour a small amount of liquid into the cap itself. Place these stations directly on the ant trails. You will recognize the trails because ants follow the same path every time. They leave a chemical scent marker on the ground, like a highway painted in a language only they can read, and every ant behind them follows it precisely. Set your bait stations right on that highway. Then do not disturb them. Do not spray anything nearby. Do not wipe the counter or sweep the floor around them. Let the ants work. Within 1 hour, you will likely see dozens of ants crowding around the station. That is exactly what you want. That means the bait is attracting them. Let them drink. Let them carry. Leave the stations in place and refresh them every 3 days by adding more liquid or replacing the cotton ball. Most colonies show a noticeable reduction in forager activity within 7 to 10 days. Full colony collapse takes 2 to 4 weeks depending on the size of the nest. A small kitchen ant colony can collapse faster. A large mound colony in the yard may take the full 4 weeks. Tell me in the comments below where you are located and how long you have been fighting ants at your property. I read every one of these. Tell me whether it is a kitchen invasion or outdoor mounds, and what you have tried before that stopped working after a month. Now, here is the second piece of the system, and this is where most people miss the entire point of what they are doing. Killing the colony underground is only half the job. You also need to stop the next colony from moving in. Ant Scout. Before a new queen establishes a colony on your property, she sends worker scouts to assess the perimeter. If the scouts find easy entry points, favorable moisture, and a food source nearby, the new colony will establish itself within a season. So while the borax bait is collapsing the existing colony, you need to create a physical barrier that scout ants will not cross. This is where diatomaceous earth comes in. Food-grade diatomaceous earth, not the kind used in swimming pool filters, which is processed differently and should not be used this way. Farm-grade or pest-control-grade food-grade diatomaceous earth. You can find it at Tractor Supply, at feed stores, or online. Harris brand makes a 4-pound bag that comes with a powder duster already included for about $9. That bag will cover the perimeter of an average house twice over and still have product left. Diatomaceous earth is not a chemical. It is a powder made from the crushed, fossilized shells of ancient microscopic organisms called diatoms. Under a magnifying glass, each particle looks like a tiny shard of broken glass. When an ant walks through it, those particles scratch through the waxy outer coating of the ant's exoskeleton. That waxy coating is what holds moisture inside the insect's body. Once it is breached, the moisture leaks out and the ant dries up from the inside and dies within 48 hours of contact. It is a purely mechanical process. The ant cannot develop a resistance to it. There is nothing to adapt against. It is like trying to evolve resistance to gravel. Apply a thin line of diatomaceous earth around the entire perimeter of your foundation, along all windowsills at ground level, and across the gaps at all door frames. Thin is the word. A thin, visible line, about the width of a pencil. Do not pile it deep. A heavy pile lets the ants walk over the surface without touching the particles. A thin layer forces every ant to walk through it, not over it. Apply it dry. Diatomaceous earth only works when it is completely dry. A single rain will neutralize its effectiveness. After any rainfall, reapply the line. During a dry stretch in summer, one application along the foundation will remain active for 3 to 4 weeks. I will not tell you that this stops every ant from ever entering your property. It does not. But it stops the casual traffic and the colony scouts, and combined with the borax bait, it closes off the entry points that ants use when they are probing a new territory. Now here is the part that should make you uneasy, and I want to say it plainly and without drama. The borax bait I just described costs you about $2 to make. $2 for enough solution to run 4 to 6 bait stations for 2 to 3 weeks. The diatomaceous earth, $9 for a bag that lasts multiple seasons of application. Your total investment for the first full year of this system is $11 to $12. A single professional ant extermination treatment in this country right now runs between $150 and $500 for one visit. If your ants come back the following spring, which they frequently do because the spray treatment never reached the queen, you pay again. The companies that sell quarterly pest control service contracts charge $400 to $1,400 per year. That is every year, for the same property, for the same ants. The liquid borax bait method has been used in American households since at least the 1940s. My grandfather kept a jar of it in the root cellar. It is not new. It is not experimental. The commercial bait products that professional exterminators use, the ones in the branded stations with the corporate packaging, they use borax as the active ingredient. The exact same mineral you buy in the green and white box in the laundry aisle for $5. What changes when a company packages and sells that as a service is the price, the contract, and the monthly billing cycle. A $12 solution that you mix yourself in a jar cannot pay for a service van, a uniform, a dispatcher, an insurance policy, and a recurring invoice. So the $12 solution does not tend to appear in the conversations those companies are having with you. That is not a conspiracy. It is just how the money flows. Esther watched me setting out the bait stations last spring along the back steps and asked what I was doing. I told her I was handling the ants. She looked at the jar and the bottle caps and said it did not look like much. I told her that was exactly the point. Now, the third piece of the system is what separates the people who solve this problem once from the people who deal with it again every year. This step takes about 20 minutes each autumn, before the first hard frost. Ants do not disappear in winter. They go deeper underground and go dormant. In spring, when the soil warms above 50 degrees, the colony sends foragers back up to the surface through the same routes they used the previous fall. Your property has established ant highways. Every spring, those highways reopen for the season. What you do in October and November determines whether spring brings you a new ant invasion or not. Walk your entire property perimeter and your foundation line in late fall after the leaves have dropped. Look for visible ant mounds, loose or disturbed soil around foundation gaps, and any areas where mulch, leaf litter, or organic debris has piled up against the base of your house. These piles are overwintering habitat. Ants, along with other insects, move into the warmth and moisture of decomposing organic material as temperatures drop. Pull all mulch back at least 6 inches from your foundation. Clear any leaf buildup from along the base of the house. If you see any cracks or gaps in your foundation, or in the caulking around pipes and utility line entries, fill them before winter with standard exterior caulk, available at any hardware store for about $4 a tube. After you have cleared the debris and sealed the gaps, apply a fresh thin ring of diatomaceous earth around the foundation. This ring will lose some effectiveness over winter, but what it does is stop any late season scouts that are still moving above 40 degrees from establishing new entry paths before the ground freezes. You are resetting the perimeter before the colony goes dormant, so that when foragers emerge in spring, they come up into an environment that is already less hospitable